The first word, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. Jesus said this to his Father, asking for forgiveness for all those people mocking him while he was being crucified. He asked for forgiveness of the soldiers, the ones chastising him, ridiculing him, inflicting so much physical pain on him that he could barely see, speak, or breathe. Their ignorance gave them a false sense of pride, of power and superiority, which eventually turned into feelings of regret, shock and sorrow over what they had just done. Beliefs began to form that they are undeserving of God's love, and even worthless in his eyes. It is amazing to me that even the seemingly most undeserving of his love and compassion, Jesus can forgive. There are times when I feel so worthless, brought down by my own personal thoughts that I am not good enough, not capable of being someone he could love. I believe my sin distances me from him so much that I determine I am no better than the ones that crucified him all those years ago. However, these words are a reminder in my life that even when I have feelings of worthlessness and struggle to find self-worth and confidence, he is there to embrace me. These words are a reminder that his love is stronger than anything and everything. Jesus loved each and every one of us so much that he even went to the lengths of dying on a cross for us. And while our sins scar us, God will continue to forgive us and love us all the same.
Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I run to the Father again and again and again and again.
The second word, Amen, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise. When Jesus said this, he was assuring one of the criminals that when he dies, he will be with Jesus in heaven. At the time of the criminal's death, he expressed his faith in Jesus, recognizing him for who he was. When Jesus told the criminal these words, I can imagine that the criminal felt peace from Jesus. There are moments in my life when I disconnect from my faith and lose sight in God. Last year during this time, I became very distant from God. I was making mistakes that made me feel less worthy of the love from Jesus. I lacked the peace and clarity in my life, which I had previously felt from truly having my faith and trust in God. This tore me further away from God, and I felt like giving up. I started to go through the motions in church. I never prayed anymore, and my relationship with God was almost non-existent. I was in this slump for many months, and it took a toll on me and began affecting how I acted around other people. I didn't allow God to be a part of my actions anymore. I pulled myself so far away that in my heart I could feel the emptiness where I'd once allowed God to be. I came to realize that I was the one who pulled away from God, and since then, I had been struggling more not having him by my side. God always longs for us, reaching his hand out to be with us no matter what. When I finally reached out for God again, amongst all my struggles, I immediately felt peace and assurance that God is with me, and that he has always been and always will be, just how the criminal felt when he put his faith in Jesus.
I don't deserve this kind of love. Somehow, this kind of love is who you are. It's a grace I can never add up to be somebody you still want. Somehow, you love me as you found me.
Which says, women, behold your son, and behold, here is your mother. So with this statement, here is your mother, not only is Jesus referring to John, the disciple whom he loved, but to his entire following. Even more than declaring legal responsibility, Jesus was telling his disciples, this is someone you can confide in. Let this person be a mother to you while you grieve me. But in the same way, she is your mother. Support for her, care for her, help her while she is grieving the loss of me. And while it seems like a simple sentiment, John takes it to heart. It says, from that time on, the disciple took him into his home. He remains to care for her as his own mother, just as to this day we care for Mary as our spiritual mother. This will later be reciprocated as Mary being the mother of God and the mother of the church. When we think of a mother, it creates certain characteristics in our minds. A comforter, a leader, a provider. That's what my mom is to me. More than just a provider, I tell her everything, and I know that she'll support me with whatever I do. In saying, "Here is your mother," it gave the disciples a lens through which to consider Mary, not just as another one of Jesus' disciples, but a mother to be revered. In the same way, he is helping her to continue her mission, almost saying, in the same way you cared for me when I was on earth, care for my people, care for my disciples, my church.
'Cause all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
The fourth word, my God, why have you abandoned me? Salome was watching the crucifixion from a distance when she heard Jesus cry, my God, why have you abandoned me? The agony in his voice and in his words was heartbreaking for her to hear. She was a follower of Jesus and had always looked to him for strength and faith. She tried not to watch the torturous event, but kept turning her eyes towards the Son of God, telling herself that in any moment he would simply step down from the cross and all would be well again. As time passed, her faith began to waver. Seeing him in such a dire state made her question her beliefs. Why would God allow his own son to be put through all this pain and suffering? She understood Jesus' words more than ever now and felt like God was abandoning her too. She did not know what she was going to do once Jesus was gone and could not begin to imagine what good could come from this. When I'm dealing with a difficult or painful situation, I often find myself wondering why God is making me go through it or questioning if he's even paying attention to me at all. I go through this time and time again, as I'm sure many of us have. The fourth word shows us that we are not the only ones who have dealt with this feeling of abandonment. Salome and even Jesus himself had their doubts. However, instead of turning away from God, Salome continued to serve him and was one of the women who found the empty tomb. God is not abandoning us at the crucifixion. He is preparing us for the resurrection. When life becomes hard to handle, rather than giving up on God, we need to give in to his plan and ready ourselves for all the good that can come from it.
The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace.
The fifth word, I thirst. A bystander hearing this likely would have felt sympathy for Jesus after realizing the pain that he was suffering through. The bystander might also have wondered if there's anything else that Jesus had meant with these words. He likely would have realized that Jesus' thirst was not just a physical thirst, but also a thirst to be reunited with God. In the past 4 years, throughout high school, there have been many times when I felt separated from God and I find myself longing to feel his presence again. In these situations, I often feel so alone and like I have nowhere to turn. However, a comfort to me when I feel disconnected is that while I may be searching for God, I know that Jesus felt the exact same way when he was on the cross. It reminds me that I am not perfect, but Jesus is, and even he longed to be reunited with his Father. Even when we feel separated and disconnected from God, he will continue to reach out to us to lead us back home to him.
I will praise you on the mountain, and I will praise you when the mountain's in my way. You're the summit where my feet are, so I will praise you in the valleys all the same. No less God within the shadows, and no less faithful when the night leads me astray. 'Cause you're the heaven where my heart is, in the highlands and the heartache all the same.
The sixth word, it is finished. I would like to share with you what I would imagine was going through John, the beloved disciple's mind at the time Jesus spoke these words. The yelling, the laughing, the mockery. It's all so loud, and yet I can't hear a thing. All of it has been washed away by the sound of my brother in agony. The sound of his mother's screams on my side as I hold on to her for dear life. I can feel her nails digging into my skin, but I don't think much of the pain. I can't think of anything other than him. I can't think of anything other than his cries. He lifts his head up just enough that I can see into his eye. It is finished. He lets his head fall back and breathes his last breath. Everything comes back to me. The yelling, the laughing, the mockery. It's all stopped. Silence fills the empty void as I watch the remaining life leave him. It is finished. It is finished. What now, God? What am I supposed to do now? He wasn't supposed to die. He was supposed to bring life. Life, not death. I feel Mary leave my side as she rushes to the foot of the cross. What am I supposed to do, God? Is this the end? Who's supposed to bring good news into this world? Who's supposed to heal the sick, feed the hungry? I don't understand. I don't understand. Sometimes I find myself sitting in the dark, feeling lost and alone. I feel like John did at the foot of the cross. I lose sight of what God is doing, and I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do or where I'm supposed to go. I get so focused on the pain, the sorrow, the anxiety, that I forget the promises God has made for me. It's easy to find myself unsure of what's to come, unknowingly waiting for Easter Sunday. But every time God does show up, He answers my prayers. He calms my anxiety and my pain. He shows up in the best ways, just like Jesus showed himself to the disciples on Easter Sunday.
So here I stand, I surrender, I need you now. Hold my heart, now and forever, my soul cries out. Once I was broken, but you love my whole heart through. Sin has no hold on me, 'cause your grace holds me now.
Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. These were Jesus' last words before he died on the cross. Alongside Jesus was Saint Dismas, also known as the penitent thief. Dismas recognized Jesus as a man who did nothing wrong, and himself as a criminal who deserves a spot on the cross. He then asked Jesus to remember him when he reached his kingdom, in which Jesus replies with, "Today you will be with me in paradise," as we know from his previous words. Dismas, in his last moments, accepted Jesus as the Son of God, and Jesus quite literally promised him a spot in heaven. I find this moment beautiful because it shows the true vulnerability of man. He was on a cross facing inevitable death, yet he still had the will to accept Jesus into his heart. It's inspiring because, to me, I've put many things in front of Jesus, many times. Whether it's the sin of temptation or doing something I simply find more important at that given time, I've blocked Jesus from entering my heart. If I were told I was going to die in a few minutes, I should be able to say, "I'm ready." I should be able to say, "Jesus, I'm ready for you. I can't wait to see you in heaven." Just like Dismas did. Jesus knew he was going to heaven. He himself commended his spirit into his Father's hands. Dismas did as well when he, a man living a life of crime and sin, just like we are, right in that moment before death, accepted Jesus into his heart. It's a beautiful reminder to me that Jesus truly loves each and every one of us. Despite the sin and flaws we humans have, if we are able to accept his love and have that deep and intimate relationship with Jesus, then we ourselves may have a spot with Jesus in paradise. We ourselves can commend our spirit into the Father's hands.
that I made